I used to get frustrated when I spent time with a girl because I used to think in terms of opportunity costs. So I used to think that, okay, it's great I've spent this time with you, but I'm building towards this future. There's an opportunity cost about the time I would have spent in maybe the gym or the time I would have spent on building my business or pushing towards success to provide with someone.
Yeah.
When you understand they're also your priority, you don't get frustrated about the time spent, if that makes sense. Like, there's something called Parkinson's law, which says that work expands to the time that you allocate towards it. So say on the weekend, I'm meeting my girlfriend, for example, and we spend 6 hours going out. That's going to be 6 hours that I've intended to spend. Now, if I now throw that towards the whole day, then the whole day gets a lot longer and I might necessarily use my time as efficiently. And so you should be happy in the way you spent your time, if you understand what I mean. And when you have that understanding, you don't get frustrated. It doesn't leave you kind of underwhelmed the next day.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you're with your girlfriend, you're thinking, oh, I could be at the gym instead, then it's probably the wrong girl. It's because you're not appreciating the fact that she's there. But once you actually like someone that well, in fact, you're trying to convince yourself that you need to go do something else because it's time to do something else. But you want to stay an extra hour, an extra 2 hours at her place because, you're enjoying that time. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong. They think about the opportunity cost of being with her tonight versus, oh, I could have been doing this on YouTube. I could have been, I don't know, doing some work. But you should enjoy that moment and savor it because at the end of the day, life is about experiences. You need to understand that when you're 50, 60 years old and you've retired from the bank, are you going to be happy saying, oh, I worked a 9-to-5 job, I became an MD, but you've not actually lived life in quotes? And I think life's about people and experiences. Yeah. So don't you want to find someone to experience that way? Of course. So spending foundational time now to find that right person, I think is a good idea.
100%. We talked about life and experiences and we talked about investment banking a lot. What are some of your plans post banking? Like, have you thought that far and do you know what you want to do?
So life after banking, you know what? I think about it all the time because there's no way I want to do this forever. It's physically draining, it's mentally draining, but I don't want to start a business and I've been thinking a lot about going back to Lagos and then starting like a broker or something to still be financial related as one of my businesses, but it's not something I've put a lot of thought into just because I'm not there yet. I think there's some stuff I still want to achieve first and then I'm going to think about life after it, which is kind of weird because you want to think about it while you're still doing it and then know how your exit plan is, but I don't know.
But it's okay to be, and I think a lot of people think that you have to have it all figured out. There's beauty in learning and going through the process. Like, when you go through trials and tribulations, of course you're thinking, I want to get to the end, but there's always a lesson to be taught when you're going through that. So I see what you mean.
Yeah, I think even for you, I think you've started your business already. You've already started Total Fit and everything. So how's that going and how do you actually start that? So what was in your head to actually start that business? Because I think for me, that's what's lacking because I don't want to just start something because I want to look at the market and see what can I do and how can I actually provide value to people. And for me, I've not found that niche yet. And for you, that could be the same. There's no point just rushing into starting a business because you need to start one. So what was that spark that made you know what? Total Fit is required.
Okay. I would probably say it was the lack of fulfillment. So like I said, I'd done everything what had seen by the textbook, right? I'd got very good GCSEs. I moved out of inner city London. I went to a top 5 university. I got into, a very competitive career path. And then sitting in the office, I started to go through a lot of personal development and understand that I'm not defined by what society perceives. I'm my own individual. I have a divine purpose on this earth, and it doesn't have to be defined by this job. And so I just started to ask questions, and you tend to spend time with what you enjoy, right?
Yeah.
And I knew I enjoyed educating, I enjoyed learning, and I enjoyed putting out putting out things in society that could be a benefit, but I didn't realize. But when I started asking the right questions, I feel like it came to me, and I prayed about it, which one of the yoga trainers on my platform worked with. We recently actually done a corporate yoga session with Microsoft. So that was my first client. So I was super happy about that. But it's crazy to think that was an idea in my head, right? And that idea now has been actualized, and I've actually dealt with Microsoft as my first client. But that really came from a personal problem, right? A personal pain point. I was in banking working upwards of 80 to 100 hours, and I was burnt out. And looking at the stats, I think it was in 2021, the cost of the global economy lost in productivity was 1 trillion a year. And I think the average annual turnover per employee from like sick days and burnout is like 30 grand.
Wow. Yeah.
So it goes back to our analytical mindset. When you contextualize this problem, you understand that there is a problem, and you understand that what solution can you provide that is less than that 30 grand per employee. And then it goes back to me asking questions and realize, what do I enjoy? Not everyone has easy access to health and fitness, and it's very fragmented as well. So I saw an opportunity in order to consolidate the market. The final thing I would definitely say is speak to people, or don't be afraid to get in a community of people who are very supportive of your vision. I came from a background that was very risk averse. You had to do it by the book. And even if you look at the school system, you're marked according to how right you can be. And mistakes are often criticized. Thomas Edison, they said Thomas Edison, it took him 10,000 times to find the way that the light bulb worked, or 9,999 times that it didn't work. And the point I'm trying to say is that you should see mistakes as a step closer to your goals. And so, yeah, that's what I did. I tried to limit the mistakes I made, but use them as learning opportunities. And then I changed the community of people I'm speaking to. So like I said, I have different friends. I have a multifaceted friendship group. And if I was going to speak to my risk-averse friends who are doing well in life about my business idea, I might go into the conversation and they, no fault of their own. It's not that they don't want to encourage me, but they may reduce my energy because their mindset is risk-averse.
Yeah.
So I try to protect my energy and have conversations with people in the entrepreneurial space who are actively going through these issues and who can support my vision. And that allows me to take action, because ultimately you have to execute.
Yeah.
I always say execution is worship. The Bible says whatever you find your hand doing, do them well. So you have to take action. Putting it to the right people, a community of people that are going to support you, is super important.
Yeah, I think learning from mistakes is actually very underrated. I think when I was applying to jobs initially, I was getting rejected here and there, but I had to sit back and think what I'm actually doing wrong, because there's a reason why every single job I'm applying to doesn't want to hire me. Like, I can't even get an interview. So you have to sit back, think about it, and actually try and improve from that point on, because the only mistake you make is not trying to improve. You don't make a mistake by not performing. If you don't try and improve, then that's when a lot of people go wrong. And I think it's what's holding a lot of people back, not trying to improve from point one.
You're just not being afraid to make mistakes. Like I said, you just have to change your perception on mistakes.
Because, for me, when you start a new job, you have to be very comfortable with the fact that you're going to mess up a lot. Like, you don't know anything, really. So you start a new job at a big bank, everyone there's an associate VP. They know like 10 times what you know. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, but if you're in a good team, that's expected. And you're meant to learn from that and grow from that. How much patience people have obviously varies, but the main thing is, as long as people see you're growing and you're making less mistakes, then everyone is happy. And you should be happy with yourself as well, because the goal shouldn't be, oh, you guys should just have patience with me because I'm new. Like, you should try and grow and try and learn, because that's how you're going to get a lot more responsibility.